12 men who ruled the most punishing title in sports. This is how every one of them met their end. John L. Sullivan. John L. Sullivan was the first man widely recognized as heavyweight champion of the world, a bare-knuckle brawler who became boxing's first true celebrity. He held the title for a decade, drawing crowds no fighter had drawn before. After retirement, he battled alcoholism for years, eventually swearing off drinking entirely and touring as a temperance speaker. On February 2, 1918, he was found dead in his home in Abington, Massachusetts, at age 59 from heart failure. He was buried with military honors, remembered as the man who turned boxing into a national spectacle. Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson became the first black heavyweight champion in 1908, a reign that shattered racial boundaries and provoked violent backlash across the country. His flamboyant lifestyle and relationships with white women led to a racially motivated conviction under the Mann Act, forcing him into exile for years. He continued fighting into his 60s, refusing to fade quietly from the sport. On June 10, 1946, he died in a car crash near Raleigh, North Carolina, after reportedly speeding away from a diner that had refused to serve him. He was 68. Decades later, he received a posthumous presidential pardon.
Jack Dempsey. Jack Dempsey defined heavyweight boxing in the Roaring '20s, drawing the sport's first million-dollar gates and becoming a national icon. Unlike many champions, he transitioned smoothly into business, running a famous Broadway restaurant for decades. His later years were marked by declining health, including heart problems that slowed him considerably. On May 31, 1983, he died of heart failure at his home in New York City at age 87. Tributes poured in from across the boxing world, honoring him as the sport's first modern superstar. Joe Louis. Joe Louis held the heavyweight title longer than any champion in history, defending it 25 times through the Great Depression and World War II. His later years were defined by financial hardship, tax debt, and struggles with cocaine addiction and paranoid episodes. He spent his final years working as a greeter at a Las Vegas casino, a shadow of his once commanding presence. On April 12, 1981, he died of cardiac arrest at his home in Las Vegas at age 66. He was buried at Arlington National Cemetery with full military honors. Rocky Marciano. Rocky Marciano remains the only heavyweight champion to retire completely undefeated, finishing his career at 49 wins with 0 losses. After retirement, he stayed close to the sport, working as a commentator and appearing at events around the country. On August 31, 1969, the small plane he was traveling in crashed near Newton, Iowa, killing him instantly, one day before his 46th birthday. The crash was attributed to poor visibility and pilot error. His unbeaten record remains unmatched in heavyweight history. Sonny Liston. Sonny Liston was one of the most feared punchers of his era, a champion whose intimidating reputation preceded him into every arena. His career was shadowed by ties to organized crime and a string of controversial, unconvincing losses late in his career. On January 5, 1971, his wife found his body in their Las Vegas home. He had likely been dead for several days. The official cause was listed as heart failure linked to drug use, though the exact circumstances have never been fully resolved. His death remains one of boxing's enduring mysteries. Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali became the most recognized heavyweight champion in history, as famous for his political stances and personality as for his fights. Years of taking punishment in the ring led to a Parkinson's syndrome diagnosis in 1984, which slowly eroded his speech and motor control. He spent his final decades as a global humanitarian figure, despite his declining health. On June 3, 2016, he died of septic shock at a hospital in Scottsdale, Arizona, at age 74. His funeral drew mourners from around the world. Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier built his legacy on a brutal rivalry with Muhammad Ali, including their legendary 1971 bout that handed Ali his first professional loss. He remained involved in boxing after retirement, training fighters at his gym in Philadelphia. His health declined quickly after a liver cancer diagnosis in late 2011. On November 7, 2011, he died at his home in Philadelphia at age 67, just weeks after the diagnosis. Ali himself issued a statement mourning the loss of his longtime rival.
Ken Norton. Ken Norton is remembered for breaking Muhammad Ali's jaw in their first fight, one of the most famous upsets of the era. In 1986, a near-fatal car accident left him with a severe brain injury, memory loss, and a lengthy, difficult recovery. He spent his later years dealing with the lasting physical effects of that crash. On September 18, 2013, he died in Henderson, Nevada, at age 70, following complications from a series of strokes. He was remembered as one of the toughest competitors of boxing's golden era. Ingemar Johansson. Ingemar Johansson stunned the boxing world in 1959, knocking out Floyd Patterson to become the first European heavyweight champion in decades. He returned to Sweden after his career, living largely outside the public spotlight for the rest of his life. In his final years, he suffered from Alzheimer's disease, which gradually took hold of his health. On January 30, 2009, he died at a nursing home in Kungsbacka, Sweden, at age 76. He was remembered in Sweden as a national sporting hero. Floyd Patterson. Floyd Patterson became the youngest heavyweight champion in history at the time, winning the title at just 21 years old. After boxing, he served on the New York State Athletic Commission and remained a visible figure in the sport for years. In his later life, he battled prostate cancer and Alzheimer's disease, which slowly diminished his health. On May 11, 2006, he died of complications from the disease at his home in New Paltz, New York, at age 71. He was remembered as a gracious champion during boxing's most turbulent decades. Jersey Joe Walcott. Jersey Joe Walcott held the heavyweight title later in life than almost any champion before him, winning it at age 37 after years of near misses. After retiring, he became a respected referee and later the sheriff of Camden County, New Jersey. He remained active in his community well into his 80s. On February 25, 1994, he died at his home in Camden, New Jersey, at age 80 after a long illness. He was remembered as proof that a title could arrive on anyone's own timeline. 12 reigns, 12 different endings, one title that outlived them all. Subscribe and tell me which champions you want covered next.